So, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I am Brenda Escribano, and I'm privileged to say that I am the president of the board of directors for DRI Canada, and I welcome all of you certified professionals and colleagues in today's session. Today, we're launching something very ambitious, something practical, something that reflects the reality of the world we are operating in. Across Canada, organizations are facing increasing complexity, cyber threats, infrastructure strain, climate-driven events, and rising public expectations. Disruptions are no longer isolated. They are interconnected, fast-moving, and often unpredictable. At DRI Canada, our role is clear. We certify and support professionals who help organizations and communities prepare for, respond to, and recover from these disruptions. But certification alone is not enough. That is why we created the Great Canadian Disaster. This is a national interactive exercise designed to challenge how we think, how we lead, and how we make decisions under pressure. Over the next 6 months, participants from across the country will be introduced into a rapid evolving scenario, one that mirrors the complexity of a real world crisis. Teams will receive new information, respond in real time, and adjust their strategies as conditions change. There is no script. There is no single right answer, because that is exactly how real incidents unfold. This exercise was built by DRI certified professionals from across Canada, grounded in the DRI professional practices, and informed by global risk and resilience trends. It is designed to be practical, relevant, and, most importantly, challenging. Whether you are in the public sector, private sector, or supporting your community, the goal is straightforward: to improve coordination and to identify gaps before a real disruption exposes them. But equally important, this is about connection. Resilience is not built in isolation. It is built through shared experience, collaboration, and the willingness to learn from one another. The Great Canadian Disaster brings together professionals, organizations, students, and communities into one national conversation about preparedness. You can participate with your own organization. You can form a team, or you can follow along and learn from the insights that emerge. However you engage, you are part of strengthening Canada's resilience. Over the coming months, this scenario will evolve. It will test assumptions, it will challenge plans, and it will highlight both strengths and areas for improvement. That is the point. Because the time to discover gaps is not during a real crisis, it is now. On behalf of DRI Canada, I want to thank the volunteers who helped build the exercise and the participants who are stepping forward to be part of it. We are not just running an exercise, we are building capability, we are strengthening networks, and we are contributing to a more resilient Canada. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing how you respond.
Thank you, Brenda. That's an excellent introduction. I'll just let Terry get our presentation queued up. We are very proud to present this, and I again give huge kudos to those volunteers that stepped forward to build this exercise. So Terry, we can go ahead with the first slide.
Good morning. We interrupt regular programming with breaking news from across Canada. Authorities report a rapidly evolving situation affecting multiple regions and critical services. Early reports indicate cascading disruptions impacting transportation, communications, and essential operations. Emergency management officials urge organizations and communities to monitor updates and activate continuity plans. Residents are advised to stay informed, follow official guidance, and prepare for potential service interruptions. Decision makers must act quickly to protect staff, maintain critical services, and respond to this complex, unfolding incident.
So the Amazing Canadian Disaster is a national resilience challenge that was designed as an exercise on how businesses, organizations, and communities would respond to a cascading disruption across Canada. recognizing that many organizations across Canada do not exercise or test their business continuity programs or emergency management programs. This is an opportunity for organizations, communities, and individuals and households across the country to be able to participate in this scenario. So a couple slides over, Terry. Next slide. Next slide. So essentially, the initial inject of this scenario is that Canada is experiencing cascading power failures affecting hydroelectric generation transmissions across provinces. It doesn't happen all at once, but within 45 minutes, over 70% of Canadians are without power in major urban centers and other smaller communities, and there's rolling or sustained blackouts. So essentially today is the start at 12 p.m. Eastern. The next inject from a time perspective will come 45 minutes from now. In reality, that inject will come on June 5th. In the meantime, organizations and communities and those participating are asked to consider what they would do in this scenario. So next slide. So major urban centers have rolling blackouts. There are early indications that this could be cyber, but we're not sure. There are some issues with grid management systems across Canada, acknowledging the fact that the hydro grid across Canada is not connected. So there's a concern as to why this rollout is happening in communities across the country. Telecommunications and backups are a concern, and there's a lot of misinformation that is circulating. This is affecting critical infrastructure in the first 45 minutes, and it is a Friday afternoon. So some of the assumptions, Terry, you can go to the next slide. So some of the assumptions will be whatever happens in Canada and around the world from today until the next inject will be incorporated into what happens into the scenario. So if there's a massive snowstorm that happens in Quebec or a heat dome in BC, those will be incorporated into it. So we're trying to use real time and what is actually happening that will add to the injects. As we built this scenario out, we took into consideration the professional practices as well as the risk and resilience trends. So here you can see the 3 professional practices that are being addressed in this, and the 4 risk and resilience trends that were identified in the Global Trends Report for 2026. So if we go to the next slide, we've divided organizations kind of into 5 groups to participate in. We have large corporations and critical infrastructure, and there's considerations here. These are all on the download document that you can access from the website. Then we have medium and corporations, if we go to the next slide, Terry, and the considerations that they may have. Then we have small and medium enterprises. Then we go into local and small communities and individuals and households. So considering all of this, and I know it's relatively quickly, within the first 45 minutes of receiving this information on a Friday afternoon, so it is 9 a.m. in British Columbia, it is 12 o'clock in Ontario, in Eastern Canada, and on the Atlantic coast, it is approaching the end of the day. So receiving this information, how would you and your team consider human factors, maintain critical operations, coordinate a response amid widespread power loss, degrading communication services, and uncertain information? Because as you saw from the video, there's a lot of misinformation coming out from across the country. So Terry, we can go forward 2 slides. So how do you participate? So you can sign up as a team or an individual, and we will assign you to a team, or you can be a passive participant and participate kind of on your own as the scenario evolves. There will be monthly injects. They will be announced via webinar and posted online. They will run May through October. And except for a few months where we have holidays, we are aiming for the first Friday of every month from now until October. You can use your own company, a fictional company, or provide a theoretical response. And you want to submit how you and your team would respond. And each month, those responses will be reviewed by a panel of judges, and the winners will be announced monthly, and best practices will be shared before we launch the next inject. So if we just go to the next slide. So here's an example. We built 3 companies. This is a distribution company that has supply chain impacts. The next one is a medium-sized municipality, the City of Clearwater. The third one is Maple Leaf Financial Group, which is a mid-tier Canadian financial institution that obviously has a financial impact. So you can choose to use a fictional company, your own, or create a theoretical response. We will respect privacy and we will not announce company names, team, individuals that are participating. It will be very generic in how we share those best practices. And so if you visit the DRI website, there's a scenario launch page, which will give you the video recording of today, the link to the actual scenario inject. It will have a submission workbook, which will be posted in the next couple of days, as well as the form to submit your responses. You'll have access to the 3 fictional companies. And also on the forward-facing side, you will have access to the professional practices, the risk and resilience trends report, and the glossary of terms for reference. So I encourage everybody to stay tuned as the situation evolves. You can register today online through the QR code that is on the next slide. Registration for Teams is open until the end of May. After that, we will close it because you will have missed the first scenario and inject. And then if we go to the next one, registration will open for the next webinar. As we finish this webinar, registration will open for the following one for the next inject. And at this time, I would like to pass it over to Garth, that is going to who is on our steering committee, that's going to talk about how the scoring and submission process works. Garth, you're going to need to unmute your mic.
Yep, I just had to adjust there for a second. Okay. As part of this exercise, it's important that we establish a consistent, objective way to evaluate what we're seeing and hearing across the exercise. To support that, we're using a structured scoring matrix that's been developed for the judges. They will have their own copies of each one, and they will go through and score each submission. It's designed to bring clarity and discipline to what otherwise becomes very subjective. In order to be fair here, we need to take personal feelings out of it. And so the way that it's set up, it's not an opinion. It's scored based on what you submit and how it aligns to the DRI professional practices and industry accepted processes. This allows us to assess the performance of risk and capability across a defined set of criteria using these scoring definitions. So in practical terms, it ensures that whether we're evaluating decision-making, response coordination, the effectiveness of your recovery solutions, or communication, they're all applied using the same lens. Each category within the matrix reflects a critical component of operational resilience and crisis response. The scoring scale, which is aligned from low to high maturity for effectiveness, helps us quantify not just whether something was done, but how well it was executed relative to expectations, standards, and leading practices. As you participate, you're not being evaluated as individuals. This is about assessing your systems, the processes, and your collective readiness. Our ultimate goal here is to identify your strengths that you can build on, as well as any gaps or friction points that could impact real-world performance. As we go through over the course of the next 6 months, you'll notice that the scoring is supported by defined criteria and in some cases examples. This is intentional. It reduces ambiguity and ensures that scores are evidence-based rather than perception-driven. We're all humans here. It's hard to keep our personal opinions out of things, but the judges who've been selected for this are, very, very experienced and very good at taking their personal feelings away out of the equation. Where possible, we'd encourage you to tie your scoring to observable actions, decisions, or outcomes during the exercise, and that's for the judges. Finally, this matrix is not just a scoring tool, but a decision support mechanism. What this will allow you to do is find out how well your responses are judged by industry professionals which will allow you to improve your processes within your organization, which is ultimately the goal of this entire exercise, is to make sure that, you know, DRI Canada's professional practitioners are doing the best jobs that they possibly can, and to help people learn. Exercises are something that are not easy to organize within, especially large organizations, but they're very, very necessary. And this makes it fun and gives you an opportunity to spread it out over time so that you're not taking up an entire afternoon of an executive's time. So anyway, I hope that everybody has fun with this, learns a lot. If you have any questions about the scoring, feel free to reach out. I'm quite happy to speak with anybody and give you some input on, you know, how the scoring works. If you're not happy with the score that you received, come back, talk to me, and we'll show you where, you know, maybe you could have improved. So thanks very much, everybody. I hope everybody has as much fun with this as we've had designing it.
Thanks, Garth. At this time, if anybody has any questions, I encourage you to put them in the chat box, and we can take the next 10 minutes and answer any of those. So again, all the information is on the DRI website under Great Canadian Disaster. You can sign up a team. You can access the recording of today's seminar for those that have had trouble accessing it. And again, my apologies. It will be posted later today, as well as a submission form and general information and fictional teams. So we'll just give everybody a couple minutes to type any questions into the chat box. So not seeing anything coming up, I would encourage anybody to email myself. When will the first inject be posted? So the scenario launch is already posted online right now, and that is what everybody is responding to. And the next inject will be posted on June 6th or June 5th after the webinar. If you've already registered a team, you can certainly add more team members. You can email, I will put the email in here. You can email Tammy at dri.ca and she can add team members for you. What is the ideal makeup of a team? Would it be best to have representation from our incident management team and crisis management teams? Garth, I'll throw this to you, but I think ideally whoever is going to respond to the scenario, again, it is evolving and there are many injects and twists and turns along the way. So I think you have to look at your organization and who would be impacted. But Garth, as the certified professional, I will pass it over to you.
Sure. Any questions, comments, derogatory remarks?
You're on mute, Garth. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, no, any questions or comments, derogatory remarks? Happy to field anything that you have questions about.
So the one question was, ideally, who would be best to have representation? Should they have incident management team, crisis management teams?
Ultimately, I think that everybody within the organization is going to have to be involved in this. You know, crisis management, incident response, executive leadership, because this is going to hit your organization from end to end. This is, you know, does anybody here remember the 2003 Lights Out? I went through that, learned a lot from it, and hoping that most people are going to pick up again, you know, perhaps some forgotten lessons learned. It'll come back to you if you've been through that. But absolutely, this is going to be all hands on deck. You know, PTO is canceled. Don't care if you're sick, you know, call in or come into the office, whatever the case may be. This is a significant, you have to treat this as something real. that's the way you're going to get the most effective and the most use out of this exercise, is to treat this as if it's really happening.
And if I can just add in, even if you incorporate those other teams, depending on how the scenario evolves, they don't have to be signed up as a team member, because you will have your core group of team members that are the ones that are responding. So you're more than welcome to use other groups within your organization, but they don't have to be a team member. Kathy Branton is asking how the time commitment. So ideally, it would probably take you 1 to 2 hours, maybe in a month, to put together your response. We'll are going to post a PDF of the questions that are asked so you can prepare, as well as a workbook ahead of time. So when you do get to the submission, it will be quick and easy for you to put it in there, but no more than 2 to 3 hours a month, I would say, in between the monthly webinars. And to another question, yes, teams will be submitting a joint response. And so we're expecting 1 submission per team, or if there's just an individual participating. There are several individuals. So if you have signed up as an individual looking for a team, we will assign those teams this afternoon and connect you with those individuals. The deadline, Joe, for submitting a team is May 31st. If you miss a monthly webinar, then those webinars will be posted ideally within 24 hours of them happening online, so you can catch up there, which is why we have given a month in between responses. And yes, in recognition of FIFA, many people are very busy. So when was this first announced? So we did a soft launch in Vancouver in March. We took the input from that and launched it a couple weeks ago in Toronto. And from there, this is the first official launch of it. We're not going to do it every year because we want to allow people to have the time to be able to respond and adjust and update their plans or their programs from what they've learned from it. So ideally, we're looking at doing this every 2 years. So Sue, you can either go straight into doing the submission form. The workbook is just kind of a nice to have if somebody likes to doodle and put pen to paper to get organized ahead of time. But we'll also have a PDF of the questions that you can download and use on your own. Fred, great question. So is this submission form have to be completed in a single session, or can it be added to? You are able to save it and go back and update it along the way. Any other questions at all? Just give everybody a minute. You've thought of any?
I don't have any question, but if I may, Perry, I would just like to give big kudos to you, Perry, for all of your hard work and your dedication coordinating this work with a number of volunteers. I think it's a very exciting opportunity for us all to learn and experience an exercise in a safe and impactful way. So thank you so much for that. Much appreciated.
Thank you. I could not do it without the team that vets the things that we create and put out there. To answer everyone's question, would participation earn CAP points? It certainly will earn CAP points. And we will calculate those with the Certification Commission and post for the next webinar how many points it will earn by participating. We will be, so Marlene's question is, are we going to look at the final exercise scoring or just scoring on the individual injects? So each team will have an inject scoring, then the final adjusted score at the end of the day, which will determine the winner. So a team would have to respond to all 5 injects as well as the original scenario to get their final scoring, but there will be winners throughout, or not winners, but leaders, best practices identified throughout the scenario, and then all those scores will be added up, and we'll have a leaderboard as well. Sue, that's a really good question about who registers. Ideally, just the team lead will register and we will have the emails for all the team members. And so the communication and the links will go out. So when you registered for this feed loop link, that profile that you created will remain the same throughout the 6 injects. Are there prizes? Yes, Stephanie, there are prizes, but we're going to keep them top secret as to what they are. But perhaps the winning team gets to go to Gatineau to the symposium. Would there be leaders for groups and leaders for individuals? I'm not so each group that signs up has a key lead. If somebody's participating as an individual, then they would be their own leader. But if I haven't answered that question correctly, please feel free to jump in. Merging individuals into team. Grace, you can just email, I put it earlier, it's Tammy, Tammy, @dri.ca, and you can provide her with a list of team members and their contact information, and we'll update our spreadsheet. Any other questions?
Just want to jump in with one thing. Being the editor-in-chief of DRI Canada's True
I
North
think Garth,
Pavilion,
you're on mute again.
I off mute now because it shows as.
I can hear him. He's not
There-
muted.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, all right. There we go. Thanks, Brenda. If anybody feels like writing an article about their experience with the Great Canadian Disaster, please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give you a little bit of direction and help with writing if you've never written an article before. So anybody who wants to volunteer for that, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Garth. So we're respecting everybody's time once again. Thank you to all those that have participated. The recording will be put on the website later this afternoon, I hope, once we get it all cleaned up. If you have any questions over time, you can either email myself or Tammy. And yeah, it was kind of like Christmas morning. I was up super early, excited to be able to launch this and share it. And thank you again, and kudos to the group of people that we had involved in developing this scenario, because without them, this wouldn't be here, and it's an exciting initiative. So thanks everyone for taking the time, and have a great afternoon.